Hello everybody, welcome to my tutorial for the Enchanter class, TLP version, levels 5 through 10. Today I'm going to go through the boring levels. That's right, the painful, boring levels of being an Enchanter. I'm going to focus on group action and group play, how you should be playing this class, and what you should be doing, what you should expect. Okay, so let's get right to it. First of all, these levels are the hard levels. Why? Because you just can't melee anymore, and you don't have charm, which comes at level 11. So in other words, you're really weak, and on top of that, there's not a whole lot you could really contribute to the group. For example, you do have languid pace, but other classes have something called drowsy. They can cast that. You have a nuke, but it's pretty weak. All you do have is you have these nice stuns, point blank stun, and mesmerize, and a Tashina, and these are your key spells, but you've got these all the way back level 2 and 3. So up until 2 to 3 you didn't really get a whole lot of good stuff, and people are starting to wonder, what exactly do you do in the group? What are you good for? Why do we want you in the group? This is going to change, because once you get to level 26 they're going to be wanting you. They're going to be sending you a tell saying, hey, can you join my group? Because they want clarity. There's something they want. But these levels were hard levels. So anyway, let's go ahead and talk about it. First of all, the buffs you're going to have, maybe you'll have lesser shielding. This comes on its own. And then you're going to have possibly a cleric buff called center. And you probably have something spirited wolf. I have a chloroplast on me just so I don't die and have to do this video over a couple times. But generally, you're going to have a whole group around you. I'm not going to cover soloing until I do the level 11 and on, because probably level 11 to 25, because before then it's too hard. It's too much trouble. You can get a pet, sure, you can do a few things, but it's just so slow. You're better off getting in with a group, trying to get in with a group, trying to get into a dungeon where you're kind of needed, where people kind of know that you can mesmerize, that you can stun some stuff. Of course, other classes can single target stun nicely, but nobody can mesmerize yet. You're the only class that can come out and mes, so it's really a tool. When you get into dungeons, this is where they're going to want you, but they wanted you for that since level 4 anyway. So anyway, let's talk about it. Let's go ahead and look at the gear you should have. I'm pretty much naked out here, but you should have this filled out with cloth gear. Maybe you bought some jewelry or got some derv rings or something like that, but whatever you can get something that brings your AC up there. Get something that gives you some mana or intelligence. At this level, I wouldn't worry about charisma or anything. It's debatable as to whether that works or not, but one thing we do know is intelligence gives you more mana, and you're going to need more mana when you go ahead and you cast this crazy spell called Languid Pace. Now, the only time you're going to be using Languid Pace is if there's not a shaman in your group, because if there's a shaman, they have a slow that's, I think, cheaper and better than this one. And not only that, look at the mana cost, 50 mana. You only have 251 mana. Maybe you have a little more, but basically you can cast this 5 times and run out of mana. And you don't have clarity, so it's going to take a long time to bring it up. So when do you use Languid Pace? When I would use it is this. In a situation where your healer suddenly becomes under pressure, and they only have a little bit of mana left, and you got to keep the tank alive or keep the team alive, I would cast this and slow the mobs down. Do not cast this every single fight. There's some fights where everything's under control and you're just destroying stuff. You don't really need it, or the mobs aren't that hard. You're just wasting mana, and it only lasts 42 seconds, as you can see. It will mitigate about 15 to 20% of the damage coming from a monster, which is very important. But it's only that much. It's not a lot. Later on in the game, the shaman class has the best slow in the game. I think it's around the 50s, they can cast a slow that mitigates 75% of the attack speed. That is huge. But when you're talking about 20%, it doesn't make that much of a difference. You could easily make that up with a nuke instead. And the nukes that we're going to talk about, or the spells we're going to talk about, are over here. So let's go ahead and quickly talk about the lineup I usually go with. Let's just say it's a standard encounter. I would go with Tashina, Color Flux. If they get past after a Tosh, if they come right at me and there's more than one, I'll go for a Color Flux to stun them. Then I'll pop one of them with a Mesmerize. When they get the Mesmerize on them, this only lasts 24 seconds. You got to be ready. you may be able to lock down 2 mobs at once by going back and forth. And let me tell you how good this spell is. This spell is so good, it can be used as a stun. Look at this. It goes up to level 55. I've used this spell into the 50s, and it's still just as effective. Let me give you an example. The boss of Kedge Keep, Finigel, that big fish squid looking guy, he can be mesmerized. That's a funny thing. You can actually go in and interrupt his spell casting. That's why he's the easiest classic boss mobs, because he can be mesmerized, he can be stunned. And this is what this spell does. It stuns and it mezzes him. So you can mezz him over and over and over, and this only costs 20 mana at that level. You can keep using it. And so anyway, so let's go ahead and let's talk about the next spells you get. So after we've covered the first 4 spells, let's talk about Memory Blur, let's talk about Chaotic Feedback, let's talk about Soothe, and of course Lesser Shielding is an automatic. You need to have that. So here's how this is going to work here. You're going to go something like this. You're going to open with Soothe. You're going to go like this here. You're going to open with the Soothe spell to break up the camp. Then you're going to go ahead and pull one from the camp like this. You're going to go like this. So it's going to go 1, 2, and then if you have to, you're going to go something like this. So 1, Soothe, break the camp or pacify them. Secondly, Tashina, to pull the one you want. If more than one comes, you mez the other one, and then you go back to Tashina. And if you want to make them forget, or if you pull too many, you just blur them off with this and back out away from it. Okay, so this is how the lineup goes, just so you know which spells are being used and how I would do this. So let's lay this out in a way that you can quickly understand, like something like this. And Soothe goes here, should go like this here. 1, 2, 3. It's a little bit easier to see. 1, 2, 3, 4, like this. And this is how you'd run it. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to break this camp. People have asked me on the Mangler server, and they've asked me, how do you use this spell and why would you use Soothe? The reason why you would use Soothe over Lull, which is at lower levels, because Soothe has a smaller reaction radius. In other words, the distance between this guy, this Orc Warrior, and this one is about maybe 15, or maybe so around there. But if you use the lull on them, it may lull him and reduce his reaction radius, but this character over here may walk a few steps close to him within his reaction radius and aggro the whole camp, meaning they're all going to come and kill you. What your job as an enchanter is to do is to break this out. Now you just got to pretend this is in a dungeon, because this setting here is very much like a dungeon. They're all socially linked, meaning they're all going to come if you pull one. But if you can break them down with Soothe, you'll get one. And after you get one, you can wait a little bit, get the next one, and you've got the camp broken down. This is what routinely happens in dungeons. The monsters in dungeons are usually social, meaning they're all going to cooperate. When one of them gets in trouble, the other will cooperate, but not if you use Soothe on them. Keep in mind, it goes to level 40, which is very, very useful, because you're going to be using this spell a long time. And look at how long it lasts, 2 minutes and 30 seconds. That's an eternity. That gives you could practically cast one Soothe, kill the monster, kill the next one, and then keep the Soothe on him, and you get away with it. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to do it. I'm going to leave the spells up here so you can see exactly how this goes. And once again, my buffs are going down, but that's okay. We're going to try it. We only have 270 hit points. You would probably have more. You may be over 300 by this time. I lost center, so it probably would have more, but let's see if this works. We're going to try to break this camp right here. Oh, one more thing. Why is it good to have a Dark Elf Enchanter? For one reason. Well, 2 reasons. One is they get hide. Secondly, they get Ultra Vision. And thirdly, they're not that large of a class, so they can fit in all dungeons. Problem with humans is they're too big. Erudites are blind as a bat. And some classes are a little small, like gnomes. But gnomes do have advantage of Gnomovision. If you've watched the Cornav live stream videos that I did back in 2018, you'll know why Gnomovision is a giant advantage that you could have out there. It's like seeing through the walls, and that's what it is. Okay, so let's go ahead and show you how this goes. I'm going to pull one, and I'm going to go down through all this, and I'm going to show you and try to simulate a disaster situation. It may not work out right, but here's what we're going to do. Let's see here. There's a jackal watching. Okay, no more guys around me. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to pacify this guy, and we're going to pull this guy over here. So the way you want to do this is really tricky. Do you say to yourself, do I start with this guy and then work your way over here? It's debatable. If you start with the middle guy and it has a critical fail, they're all going to come right at you. If you start with the left guy, there's a chance if it fails, maybe his reaction's a little bit far away and he may not pull the rest of the guys. But since we have 2 minutes and 30 seconds, I'm going to start from left and then go to the right. I'm going to pacify all of them, and then I'm going to pull this guy. Or if you're pressed for time, you don't have a lot of mana, you can pacify this guy and this guy. But once again, I would start on the edges. So let's go ahead and let's see what happens. Okay, so this is memory blur, this is pacify. So the pacify, soothe is right there. Soothe 1. Okay, landed. You see right here, he's landed. It's for a minute and something. Okay, let's go ahead and get the next guy. Okay, landed. That's him. Let's get this yo-yo right here. You could pull this guy, but you have to know the pathing. Sometimes the pathing's weird. Okay, now let's go back to this guy. We have 136 left on it. Let's go ahead and pull him. Here, remember that's a first spell, soothe. Next spell is coming up is this. Got him. So he's coming by himself. Okay, so now what's going to happen is I'm going to go ahead and mez. Look at how fast that casts. Gonna keep trying to cast it. Keep trying. Okay, then go to stun. Let's stun him. Let's try it this way. And come in for the miss. Come on, it's gonna be hard. Got him. Now that we've got him, let's go ahead and blur him, show you how to blur him. Move out of his aggro. Ooh, there's another guy over there. Move out of his aggro radius. Wait right here. And we can wait and see what happens. See if he comes over after us. He's going to break Mez. There. He broke Mez. He forgot all about me. And he still scowls, ready to attack. And he will walk back. But this is what you would do. In a normal situation, you'd pull him. Your group would kill him. Oop. Okay, see how I did that? Now what this would be, this situation is if he had come, or two guys had come, and your tank is fighting him, and then one more ad comes, you would perform this maneuver, you would mez him right there. But in my case, I'm not strong enough to kill him outright. Even with a full bar of mana, you see how many mezzes I had to cast, because I kept getting interrupted, and I eventually had to try to stun him in order to get him. But this is how you would break the camp. But you got a single guy right here. Your group would obviously just kill him right there. Then you would go back to the rest of the group and you'd perform the next thing. So let's take a look at a more difficult group right here. Look at this. Okay, so how are you going to do this right here? How are you going to break this? This is an interesting puzzle because you have this guy over here, then you have this guy over there. This guy may be close enough to aggro this guy, and he may be close enough to aggro this guy. So what I would do is I would go up, and let's take a look at the camp. Let's go ahead and inspect it. Okay, let's inspect the camp. As you can see, this guy is pretty far away from here. So when you get another look at it, you can see that you can pull this guy if you pacify him. If you pacify him, you can pull him. Now, if you fail to pacify him, the whole darn camp's gonna come. So if that happens, just turn around and run. You're running north, pointing northeast, run to the southwest. So let's go ahead and do this. Now you don't do it here because if you pull him, he may come like this and then aggro this guy. So if you pacify him, pull this guy that way. So let's go ahead and try. I'm going to stay over here, preparing to pacify. Let's get some mana up before we do that. And this is a cleric, so this is dangerous. He's a healer. And what do I have over there? I have another cleric. That's even more dangerous. What these guys are going to do is they're going to cast on you from a far distance. So what you want to do is you want to be able to stun them or hit them with a mez if they're in the middle of casting. That way they won't be able to go ahead and heal themselves. We're going to try it with minimal mana here because I just want to demonstrate the fact that we can get this here. If you were to get this guy over here, you would have to pacify this guy and this guy to get this guy. And in that case, I would go ahead and work on a pacify with him first and him first. But I'll show you how to get this guy here. And if we get enough mana, we may be able to go ahead and mez him and blur him off again and continually work the camp. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's hope this is enough. Casting Soothe. Landed, got him. Let's move in position. See how I'm going to pull him from here? Okay, watch this. See, all by himself. Now that would have been a success. See, got him right there. Let's go ahead and blur him off. Okay, blurring him. Okay, so that was a successful pull right there. And his mez will break out. I have no mana left, but I just wanted to show you what your job is. Now, what would be happening right now is your team would be killing this guy and they'd destroy him. But if they needed help, you could go ahead and cast another Mesmerize for 20 mana, and this would interrupt his spell casting. If you see the message that he's going to cast a spell, go ahead and interrupt him. So there we go. We got that camp and we got the other camp over there. And this is how you do it. So these 4 spells are primarily what you're going to be doing a lot of times in a dungeon until the dungeon gets broken. And I don't have a group here, so I can't demonstrate what you would actually be doing in a group. But once again, those spells were mentioned. Those spells would mention that would be Languid Pace is one, and I would go with a Chaotic Feedback. A lot of times the mobs are dead so fast that you don't really need to cast a dot. It takes too long. It doesn't really do a lot, but this is your main tool that you're going to be using. Good old Chaotic Feedback, and it's going to take a while for you to get that skill up there. If you look at it, Evocation 16 out of 55, it's a long way to go. You're going to fizzle a lot, so what I would suggest is practicing on your pet. Cast it on a pet of yours, like a level 1 pet, and get this skill all the way up there when you have some downtime. Let's see if hide worked. And it did. So we successfully hid. That means we're successfully inviso. There we go. And we can sit here and hide and med up all the way we want. So once again, your job is to break camps. Sometimes you can cast Memory Blur in the middle of a battle. For example, if your cleric is under attack, you can Memory Blur before the tanks pull the guy off him. But once again, it's 40 mana, so it's expensive. So keep in mind, there's not a lot you can really do in this. Up to level 10, nobody really wants you. But after 11, you become very, very powerful. And when I do the next tutorial, I will cover level 11 to 25. And those are the great levels, and it just gets better and better and better then. Hope you enjoyed this, and I hope it's been useful. This is on how to break camps, how to blur, and how to manage the area here. I've covered the first Tosh, Color Flux, Mez, and the basic dot in the levels 1 to 4 tutorial. Thank you for watching, and good luck out there.